following is part 2 of my 2-part interview with Brandon Schroeder. Listening to what you have done, let's talk more about your public safety speaker career that you've accomplished, and how did this journey start and how has it been going for you?
So I was working in an electrical apprenticeship and training. I was an instructor for our local apprenticeship and training center. And I was doing about 10 presentations a year for the first, maximum happened in 11. I started speaking in 12. From 2012 to about 2017, I would do presentations whenever I could. And I remember I would just get anxiety. I'd be scared to go ask my boss, tell him I need the day off or I can't be here this day. And I'd have to come up with some excuse because I couldn't stop doing these presentations. When I saw the reaction of the crowd's face and grown men coming up to me and saying, I'm just like you and I'm going to do things differently because of your presentation. That's a powerful force that was leading me in the direction that whatever I have to do, I have to get on stage and I need to tell my story. And it got harder and harder to get time off of work because I had a job to do. They were depending on me to do this job and I was having to leave quite a bit and I felt pretty bad about it. And I got the opportunity to go tell my story to 811, which is Call Before You Dig. New York City was going to have me come all over the state of New York and do 8 presentations over 3 weeks. And I reluctantly went to my boss and told him that I needed 3 weeks off. And he said, you could do this one, but no more. And this was March. So I was going to have to go until January with no time off work. And I remember thinking, I can't do this. I went into his office and I just said, I can help for the rest of the year, for the rest of the school year. I'll stay on board, but I'm going to go do this speaking thing. And if you need to replace me, that's fine. I'll stay and help as much as I can through the end of the year, but I'm going to go do this speaking thing. And he said, well, I think you just should take some time to think about it. Well, in the meantime, I met Duval Safety out of New York, and Dale Lazinski called me and asked me to go down to Houston, Texas to one of his events and tell my story. And I thought I was a pretty good speaker. I was getting really good feedback.
You are.
Well, I am now, but I went down there for Dale and they videotaped my presentation. And then he called me and said, I want you and your wife to come out to New York. I want you to meet with us. And he had helped some really big name speakers that I was like, if I could ever get to their level, I'm going to be at the top of the mountain. So I was all excited about this. I thought we were going to do a video deal. He was going to get me all these speaking opportunities. And we went out to that hotel and he ripped me apart for 4 hours straight. He left me with 4 pages of notes. I had quit my job, thought I was pretty good. And I left that meeting with my tail between my legs. I felt horrible. And I just went home and decided, if you want to do this, I need to know what they want me to do. So I started watching the top safety professional or the top safety speakers. I started watching their videos, and then I had an idea of what they were doing. And then I went to the library because I had no job, and I just started rewriting this thing. And I'd get a little conference room in the library, and I'd rewrite it, and then I would practice it, and then I started videotaping it. And it took me about 3 to 4 weeks to come up with this presentation. And I sent it to Dale. I videotaped it and I sent it to him, and I'm thinking, he won't get back to me for a while. He's a busy guy. Within 24 hours of me sending him that video, he called me and he said, you nailed it. You did absolutely fabulous. You put in a lot of hard work here. This is great. And he started taking me out to getting me into all these safety conferences, the NSCs, the EPPAs, and he took me to about a dozen safety conferences, and I did 70 events my first year. I thought that was pretty good. That was way better than I expected. Second year, I did 90 events. The third year, I did 100. The fourth year, it was off the chart. I did 100 events in 3 months. And I remember my wife telling me, you have your own business. You need to set your schedule. You need to stay home a little more. This is getting out. You're never home. I was gone Monday through Sunday. And I just have this hardworking mentality that if I have this work, I have to go out and do it. And I want to share my story with as many people as possible. Well, then COVID hit. and everything got shut down. But I had done a year's worth of work in 3 months, and I was ready for a break. And I thought, even if I don't do another presentation for 2 years, my family and I were good. So I had done that, and then different companies, utility companies, for the first couple of years were my main business. So Con Edison called me and they wanted 20 virtual presentations. And I never wanted to do a virtual presentation because when I watch videos, it's easy to get distracted. It's easy to, think about other things. But when I'm out there in front of an audience, when I'm looking at an audience, I have their attention and it's captivating. So I agreed to do those first 20 virtuals, and they went very well. And I started doing more virtual events. And I actually got through COVID and I had pretty good years. So I'm pretty proud of that a lot of other speakers didn't do virtuals. I started doing videos, virtuals, and company corporate safety videos. And I had a great couple of years. And now things are getting back into full swing, getting in front of live audiences and doing what I love to do.
I can tell you those videos were great. I saw a few of them and you did a phenomenal job. So you should do more of them. Um, so let's talk more about the company that you founded. I know it has a big meaning to you and it comes from a personal experience.
Yeah, it's called Believe in Safety. Early on, when I first started this, I sat down with Westex. They're a art flash clothing manufacturing company. There was a guy named John Gaston. We were sitting there trying to come up with a name for my presentation. He said, "Why don't you call it Believe in Safety?" And I went home and I started thinking about it, and I was like, "That's correct." If I would have believed in safety, and that's my main line that I say over and over again. And when I apply to a lot of these safety conferences, a lot of them are thinking, you need to work on your title, believe in safety. Everybody believes in safety, or, they wouldn't be here. And I don't think that that's really true. You don't understand what believe in safety means until you see my presentation and see how I incorporate it into there. And I think that, there's a lot of people out there who don't believe in safety. They don't think that these things are going to happen to them. They've been around or seen very dangerous environments and have the experience that have gotten them through these dangerous situations that build your confidence. And every time you get away with something that's, borderline dangerous, it just builds your confidence. And eventually you're taking risks that a normal person would look at that and say, no way, that's too dangerous. But I just think over time, if you don't believe in safety, you're building your confidence and the confidence of others. Because anytime you do something like that, there's someone watching you and you're teaching them that what you're doing is acceptable. And that's kind of what happened to me. I worked with these guys that started their careers in the 50s and the 60s, and they didn't believe in safety. And I got used to just getting the job done. That was what I thought my job was, just get the job done and don't get hurt. Well, there's a lot more to safety than that. I mean, nobody plans on getting hurt. But if you plan safety into your job, no one has to get hurt, and it does not lower productivity.
Yeah, I always look at it, Brandon, is like a sine wave, right? So first we know nothing, so we're super scared, right? We do everything by the book. Then the more we do of the same, our trust, right, and confidence in our ability to keep doing and getting away with things evolve up and up and up, and then until an incident happens, whatever that incident is, then it deteriorates again. It's funny how we human work, right? I mean, look at driving, right? You drive 10, 15 years, everything is good. And 1 second you drop your normal safety behavior while driving, you get into an incident. And hopefully we use your experience, and folks in our industry use what you teach and your story and get inspired to use more safety day in and day out on the job. Brandon, speaking of some of the engineers and of my engineers, and this is, I think, how we got introduced. You were very, very aligned with our strategy in Schneider Electric around safety and our latest innovations. Can you talk to me more about what you have seen and what do you think about it and why do you think it's that important?
Well, I think being an electrician over my career that started in 1997, 20 plus years, Schneider Electric or Square D has become a leader. Everyone knows, any electrician that is out there knows when you get the gear or you get the equipment on the job and it says Square D or Schneider Electric on it, you know you're getting the best possible quality. Yes, you're going to pay more for that quality, but it's going to be the best. You can rely on it. And, I like to be around people that are better than me so that I rise with the tide. And anytime that I can align my brand with someone who's the best at what they do, I'm very excited about that. Again, I've been doing this for 20 some years, and in my own house, when I wire my house, it's all Square D panels.
Now we love
It's
that.
all Square D equipment. Because I know I won't have a problem with it, and it's the best. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on this interview. You go out there and you take a poll of any electricians that have been in the career, and if you put just list the best manufacturers out there, I would guarantee you that Schneider's going to be the best.
This means the world to us and to me personally, because I always take pride in everything we do in Schneider. I always say that everything we do, every new product we put out there, safety and sustainability are in the core of what we do. And that's what we did with Arc Block. And I know you have seen Arc Block, and I would really love to hear what do you think about the product and why it's important, and really get a pulse from you on what you have seen on Arc Block.
I think Arc Block is one of the best innovations that have come out for electricians, because as an electrician, when I go up to a piece of MCC or a piece of equipment, a lot of these companies are doing arc flash analysis. When I look at that arc flash analysis and I see what the amount of calories per centimeter squared is, that right there tells me, should we proceed here or should we not? And unfortunately, to some people, they're going to proceed regardless of what that label says. And the Arc Block has put out some technology that will get your incident energy down to 1.2 calories, which is the onset of a second-degree burn. And that's ultimately where we want to be. We want to engineer that hazard out. It's gone. If someone makes a mistake, the engineering is there, the safeguards are there, and that's what we need to do. We don't need to put more PPE on. We need to engineer the hazard out. And by separating those phases and getting this down to where an arc will self-extinguish, it's got me very excited, because I know that if they can do this with an MCC, it's just a matter of time before we're going to engineer these hazards out completely. And families aren't going to get the phone calls like I got. There's plenty of people out there, no matter how much we educate, no matter how much we try, there are people out there that are going to take risks that they shouldn't take. And by engineering the hazard out and eliminating it, to me, you're going to save the most amount of lives.
This is so true. I mean, literally, when we designed and worked on the whole idea of Arc Block, there was no other thing about it. It was not about the sales. It's not about getting disrupted. Everything from the moment we started till this moment was about safety. And I got to learn a very disturbing fact while we were in the NFPA, which was that just last year in the United States, around 400 fatal accidents has happened because of arc flash. And I thought to myself, what if we really can try to get this down to zero? Using Arc Block and other innovations that help us from Arc Flash. But what do you see about Arc Flash that is different from other Arc Flash protection?
Well, there's a lot of the other things we're focusing on the interrupting time, and you're trying to put PPE on. To me, Arc Block, when you're separating the phases and it's self-extinguishing, there's really nothing that can go wrong. I mean, you've got a product out there that is going to get that down to 1.2 calories per centimeter squared. And, I have no potential of getting burned. And that can be added on to any piece of equipment. From what I understand, they're getting ready to retrofit that so that you can add it onto your existing MCC. I believe it's just a matter of time before you get that on your main switch gear as well. And I just look at that and I think, getting that incident energy down to 1.2 everywhere, it's a new technology. It's separating those phases to self-extinguish. I mean, there's nothing that can fail on that thing. So I'm very excited for this technology, and I'm just excited to see how you guys can evolve it and turn it into more and more and more products, where eventually, instead of 400, we have 0. I mean, 400 is a big number. And you think about all the ones that were close calls and all the people, once you add in all the people that got headed to the ambulance. And I just don't think people are going to stop taking the risks. And it takes leaders such as yourselves that are going to be at the forefront of this that say, we're going to do something about it. And we're going to engineer this hazard out. And once that happens, it's going to get down to 0. And I think you're on the leading edge of it. I think, this is just the start.
It is just the start, and I'm happy to tell you that ArcBlock now is ready for any gear that we produce, and actually from other manufacturers, both in retrofit and new. So the team has been working hard since they spoke to you last. So maybe how would the audience learn more about you and get inspired, and where they can find you and learn and hear your public speaking?
I have my website is www.believinsafety.com, and I've got a few YouTube videos out there. If you just put in Believe in Safety or Brandon Schroeder, you should see my name, and most of my information is on my website. And I look forward to, I always get excited after I speak. Everyone likes to email me and tell me different stories, and it's always fun to get those testimonials and see what you're doing is making a difference.
Absolutely. So I have a question that I usually like to ask. I kind of know your answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So I always ask, if you get the ability or the blessing of a superpower to change the world, what it would be and why?
I should have prepared for this one. I think when I think about this, one thing that makes me very fortunate with my accident is that my kids were young enough. Well, 2 of them weren't born yet, and my youngest one was going 2 months old. So she doesn't remember any of the things that I went through. But when a child who's an innocent child has done nothing, and their dad or mom or dad or anyone that they love or care about is affected by a workplace accident. If my kids were 10 or 11 like they are right now, and they had to come in and see what happened to me, that would have devastated them for their entire life. And I'm just fortunate that my daughter was young enough that she won't remember this. But if I could take the pain away from people when they have accidents, I think that would be my superpower. Make these bad things go away. To me, kids are the most innocent thing out there, and I hate seeing children go through pain. I feel like adults are somewhat structured more to take that pain, but when you're a child and you have to take that type of pain, if I could take that away from every parent or every child that lost a parent or a mom or a dad or a loved one during a workplace accident, or really anything, just to take the pain away from children, I would do that.
That's a beautiful and a noble thing, Brandon. Brandon, thank you so much for giving us the time. It's a pleasure to meet you and a pleasure to learn more and more from you. I look forward to speak and chat with you more and more in the future. I wish you the best. I know you have a very busy schedule in the rest of this year. I wish you the best, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you, Brandon, for joining us.
All right. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Remember, my name is Michael Lotfy, and as I always say, the future is indeed bright with Schneider Electric. See you next time on Powering Progress. Thank you so much.
The content of this podcast is for informational purposes only, should not be undertaken as financial, economic, legal, business, tax, or investment advice. The information, statements, views, and opinions should not be construed as the provision of advice by Schneider Electric, or as an offer to buy or sell any products or services, or to make or consider any investment or course of action.